because many of the very conservative members of the Republican Party don't agree with me on social views. Right? I consider myself to be libertarian socially. Just get the government out of our lives and you decide what's right for you. Right. But now they're backing me because they see me as fighting for things they do believe in. They do believe in better economy. They do believe in more jobs. They do believe in better schools. So these are issues that can unite us. And if I'm fighting passionately for issues that unite us, they're with me.
So they don't worry about the social issues like your pro-choice stand? And
right. Well, I mean, look, there's no question that many would prefer that I have different views, but I've found that they are willing to look past things that we disagree on because I'm fighting so hard for things we do agree on.
Thank you.
In the back.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to ask. Hello. Hold it down.
All right, we'll go to this gentleman and then we'll come back to you. Go ahead.
My name is Ganesh. I've been in the energy business for a long time, specifically energy efficiency business. I would like to know your thoughts on the Commission, its ambitious goals for California. They have, ZNE, zero net energy homes by 2020. Any thoughts on the Commission itself and its relationship with the utilities? I work for utilities, so I'm really interested in knowing what your thoughts on the energy efficiency aspects.
Sure. Well, in all honesty, I need to study more about what the Commission has been doing on energy efficiency. So in all honesty, I don't know a lot about what their stance has been taking. Right now, but more broadly, like of course, who would not be in favor of energy efficiency, especially if there are energy efficient products or programs that pay for themselves. I mean, of course, it would be crazy not to pursue these. But again, it's about finding the right balance. So let me just take a step back for a second. We have this cap and trade program in California called AB 32. And cap and trade programs theoretically can work on a global basis, maybe across multiple countries. But this program is literally designed to raise the cost of electricity and gasoline in California to try to make alternatives more competitive. But here's what ends up happening. If you raise the cost of electricity in California, the factories that are the big power-intensive users move to Nevada. Yep. And then the climate is not helped 1 ounce because the emissions from California or Nevada doesn't make a difference in terms of the global climate. Right. So it actually hurts California families and it doesn't actually help the Earth's climate. And then the insult to injury is Jerry Brown is taking the money from that program by raising the cost of electricity and gas. By the way, this is what's called a regressive tax. It disproportionately hurts working families because their utility bills go up by greatest percentage, they can't afford it. And he's spending the money on the high-speed train, which the independent analysts have said doesn't do a thing to help the climate. So we should have smart environmental policies, but it needs to be grounded in something more than just emotion. It needs to be grounded in science, grounded in economics, so that we can actually do things that make a difference for the Earth's climate, for our environment, not simply hurting working families and not having much to show for it. So as it relates to efficiency, again, I'm all in favor of efficiency. I don't know what the PUC's specific policies are that you're referring to, but I'd be happy to learn more. Thank you.
Let's come this side.
Oh.
Like that.
Mr. Neil, thanks for coming in Los Angeles, California, especially for this meeting. I'm a journalist, I'm a businessman, I'm an investor. Now, the minimum wage is going up. How much it's going to affect all the businesses and industries? Some people are thinking even to move out of Los Angeles.
So the minimum wage is a great example of well-meaning policies that really do have unintended consequences. So the minimum wage, there's no question that raising the minimum wage is good for workers who keep their jobs. No question. It is basically declaring war on the unemployed. You are absolutely making it harder for people who do not have jobs to get jobs. Today, 16% of Californians either have no job or stuck in a part-time job and looking for full-time work. And so if you raise the minimum wage when you're starting from a position of very low unemployment, it can make sense with very few unintended consequences. So if you went to Silicon Valley, unemployment is 3 or 4%. Very low unemployment. You raise the minimum wage, very few people are going to be hurt by that. But when 7.5% of Californians have no job, 16% either have no job or stuck in a part-time job, and you raise the minimum wage, you are going to help some workers at the expense of others who don't have work today.
That's right.
A better approach, in my opinion, is to bring more jobs to California so that there's a competition for labor and that everybody's wages go up. I'll give you an example. In North Dakota today, McDonald's is paying about $15 an hour.
Exactly.
Not because there's a $15 an hour minimum wage, because the economy is booming and there's a competition for labor and everybody's wages have gone up.
Right.
So there's a way to do this where you're not picking some workers and hurting others.
Yeah.
You actually lift everyone up together, and that's what I'm for.
Right. That's
All right, this
right.
gentleman, yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I will appreciate that. I have a question regarding after this Snowden regulation. Now a lot of people are very much concerned about their privacy, especially the company. Now
After which?
the Snowden revelation, like the privacy.
Oh, I
and
see,
the
Snowden, okay.
NSA, the thing. Now the company are looking exclusively for, let's say, the data center, the cloud, which is supposed to be outside the United States because they are not, confident about that, their data, their privacy, going to maintain here. Internally, it is not only hurting the IT company, also like, the hardware, the people, because they are looking anything outside the United States, that's what they are going for. So, it's economy, hurting the economy, job, everything. What, in your mind, what you're going to do that so that still you can maintain number one? I mean, as you can see, the entire world traffic, 80% go through the United States. Now everybody there looking from the outside.
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and there are some issues that are federal issues that I can't unilaterally take care of as governor, but I can weigh in on and push Washington. So one of my criticisms, I have a lot of criticisms of Jerry Brown. One of my criticisms of Jerry Brown is there are a lot of federal issues that he basically says it's not my problem. That's not good enough. To me, the president has the most powerful microphone in America.
Right.
The second most powerful is the governor of California,
Right.
if he has the courage to stand up and use it. So that's an example where I could weigh in very strongly to say we need to have smart policies here that do not push all of our businesses out of the country. I'll tell you, I don't know, being an engineer but not necessarily a privacy or cyber expert, I don't know how effective it's going to be to move stuff into the cloud, host it somewhere else. I mean, is that really going to stop the NSA from crawling in there and getting access to it? I doubt it. It doesn't stop the Chinese from hacking into our computers. Why is it going to stop us from hacking over there? So I share your concerns. Something we'd have to work on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just one particular question. I think as a candidate, obviously, being a Republican, you probably come with as non-Republican characteristics as possible, as you mentioned. But how do you appeal to the Latino community, which is a significant part here,
Yeah.
and who don't, I mean, or let me just leave it at that. How do you appeal to them in order to be able to, vote for your candidate?
He looks like a Latino.
It's funny you said that, because I was speaking at an African-American church in South Central, and I walked up to the church, and I visit a lot of churches because it's a great place to learn what's happening in the community. And I was speaking to the congregation, and I said, when I walk into a African-American neighborhood or a Latino neighborhood, the first question people ask is, they're like, what is he? And so, there's some reduced barriers because I look a little different.
Right.
And when I go in, I have the exact same message. I want your kids to get a good education. I want you to get good jobs. And you know what Latinos say to me? That's what we want. Do you know what African Americans say to me?
Right.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I've been doing on Univision, the big Spanish language station, many, many times. The first interview that I did after I announced my campaign was on Univision, and it ran all around the state. And they said, we're honored. Why did you come to us first? I said, because I want your viewers to know they're not an afterthought. They're my first thought. And they said, well, what are your views on immigration? And I said, well, I'm the son of immigrants. I think immigration adds tremendous value to America. Yes, we have to update our laws, and yes, we have to enforce our laws. But let's recognize the contribution that immigrants are making and what a strength it is for America. And they said, oh, wow, okay, what's your platform? And I said, jobs and education. And they said, that's what we want. And so I've been, everywhere that I've gone, I've been very warmly received. The challenge is it's a state of 38 million people. You can't reach people individually. You have to, advertising ends up being very, very important to get the message out.
Or on the other side?
I have a two-part question. Do you plan to run again in the case you lose? And number two, being a Hindu,
and I have seen several interviews where a commentator was saying, yeah, Neil is a Hindu. I mean, I don't know why that was important, but has it hurt your campaign being a Hindu?
Yeah, so I'm planning on staying in California and staying active. I'm very focused on November. I'm not ruling anything out in the future, and I want to just keep fighting to turn the state around, and I'll figure out what role that is in the future. But I'm going to stay active. I'm not going anywhere. It's been remarkable. The only time, so this is true, sorry, in the spring, and against my very right-wing opponent, he accused me of promoting Sharia law. And it was absurd, because I'm on the record, I've been raised Hindu, and I'm, it's just absurd. And that was the only time religion in any way has come up. And the neat thing is the Republican Party around the country, they dropped a bomb on his head when he did that, because it was such a preposterous attack. It was actually Darrell Issa, who's a very conservative congressman, Christian congressman. He's a Christian Lebanese.
Right.
He issued the most scathing attack on my opponent for accusing me of Sharia law. That's the only time of promoting Sharia. It's the only time religion has come up at all. But it's very interesting, because people will ask me, how do I explain my social views? And I explained it in part with Hinduism, which is, for me, I don't know your views, but for me, one of the things I really love about Hinduism is it's very personal. You can kind of choose your own path.
Right.
And so I say that's, because they've asked me to explain, well, why do I have these views of you should decide for yourself? And for me, it kind of roots back into the way I was raised, that each of us find our own path. There's no one right path. So I think it's been a strength for me. And I'm proud of the fact that, I don't hide it. I lean into it. First time I went to speak at one of the black churches that I visited, in advance, some of the members said, you're not Christian. Do you feel uncomfortable? I said, I'm Hindu. Why in the world would I feel uncomfortable going to a Christian church? So it's just, I don't know. I think it's been a real strength for me.
One question I had was, in India, a lot of politicians say that, okay, in my first day I will do this, or in first 100 days I will do this. Do you have such anything you would like to do in the 100 days, like pension reform or something?
Sure.
Like that?
Well, a few things. And I'll tell you two things I'll do day one that I can do unilaterally.